In your headlines, results from the Caribbean Vocational Qualification Exam are in. The Blood Bank is encouraging persons to donate and help to save a life. And Macmillan Education Caribbean announces its first event for its upcoming Summer of Science. From the PTV Broadcasting Headquarters in Providenciales, your number one source for news, I'm Erica Pinales, delivering the latest from across the country this Tuesday, June 14th, 2022, right to your door. Newswatch starts now. The Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force has been under the microscope for the better part of 2022 after seeing an alarming spike in crime. In this newscast, we bring you details from a report on crime stats for 2022.
The Turks and Caicos Islands saw a 10% increase in crime for the period April 2021 to March 2022 when compared to that of the previous year, 2020 to 2021. Crime rose to 1,738, 157 more crimes than last year. When it comes to serious crime, officials report that there were 355 incidents of serious crime reported, an increase of 42 more, or 13%. The average number of crimes for the last 5 years is 315. So this year, serious crime rose to above average numbers. When reviewing specific crimes, a rise in aggravated burglaries of 19 offenses was compared to the year before, with a total of 53, as well as a rise in firearm offenses, with an additional 37 crimes compared to the same period the year before. The review also revealed that there were 286 burglaries between April 2021 and March 2022. Commissioner Trevor Botting said, quote, "This surge accounted for 68 additional serious crimes when compared to the year before, and in relation to overall crime. The same 2 months saw an additional 121 crimes when compared with January and February 2021. We believe these additional crimes were carried out by a very small number of prolific offenders which are no longer active," end quote. There was a slight reduction, 1%, in the number of robberies and a 20% reduction in the number of murders, going from 20 in 2020-2021 to 16 in 2021-2022.
The Turks and Caicos Islands Community College TVAT Institute have received the results from its inaugural cohort of participants, which sat the Caribbean Vocational Qualification Challenge exam in February 2022. Here's more. So what is PLAR? The Prior Learning Assessment Recognition is a certification pathway where experienced individuals in their respective fields are given the opportunity to obtain certification by producing stipulated evidence in the form of a portfolio or project, as well as sitting a challenge exam. Newswatch learns that of the 27 participants that sat the PLAR challenge exam, 23 were deemed fully competent in both the theory and practical aspects of the exam. This pass rate of 85% is indeed a celebratory occasion, not only for TVAT at TCICC, but for the participants who worked assiduously to ensure their performances were aligned to the occupational standard and examination requirements of the National Council of Technical Vocation Education and Training in Jamaica, with whom the TVAT at TCICC has an ongoing partnership. The pass rate for each skill area is as follows. Level 1 electrical installation, 72%. Level 1 customer service, 90%. Level 1 commercial food preparation, 100%. And Level 2 food and beverage or bartending, 100%. Each participant is now eligible to receive their CVQ certificate from the accrediting body NCVET under the Heart Trust NSTA. TCICC gives thanks to the facilitators from the Clement Howell High School and the Louise Garland Thomas High, who led the classes and guided students through the material. The Honorable Rachel Taylor, Minister of Education, Labor, Employment, and Customer Service, remarked that this certification is globally acclaimed and will enable each participant to build upon their competence and progress to the next level. She also expressed excitement over the success of the persons who stuck with the program to the end and extended an invitation to many others to register for CVQ courses that her government has made available to Turks and Caicos Islanders and British Overseas Territory citizens tuition-free. Interim President of TCICC, Mrs. Clara Gardner, echoed the minister's comments by stating that these results are indicative of the tremendous possibilities that exist to certify and situate the TCI as having a skilled and certified workforce to strategically contribute to our economic productivity. TVET Dean Mr. Kevin Baxter was keen to point out that this is just the beginning as we intend to impact all the sister islands and saturate the TCI with world-class training opportunities to meet the demand of an evolving global landscape. The TVET at TCICC is currently recruiting persons from Providenciales and Grand Turk to participate in the second cohort of participants to sit another PLAR TVET Challenge exam in November 2022. It's time for a quick break. More News Watch when we return.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at STUBBS Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to Newswatch. June 14th is observed as World Blood Donors Day, and officials of the blood bank are encouraging persons to donate and help to save a life. Take a look.
Donating blood is an act of solidarity. Join the effort and save lives. The slogan for World Blood Donor Day, as officials of the National Public Health Lab took the process of allowing persons to donate blood to the community for their convenience. Officials were stationed at the IGA parking lot and say while they received a few walk-ins, it was nowhere near the number they expected. Blood donations continue to be a struggle for the lab due to the hesitancy of persons to donate. Director of the National Public Health Lab, Samajio Williams, spoke to Newswatch about the ins and outs of the process.
Donating blood is one of the many functions that the National Blood Bank serves, and when we say the process of donating blood, that's to take a unit. Here in the Turks and Caicos Islands, that's approximately 450 milliliters of blood. It sounds like a lot, but I promise you it isn't.
Williams says there exists a lot of hesitancy when donating blood, and it is mainly due to misinformation and a lack of education of the process. However, he says persons need to become more aware of how important the process really is.
One of the key messages that we try to put out there is that 1 unit of blood can save 3 lives. Having the blood transfusion could mean the difference between a patient being stabilized long enough for the doctor to work on them, or even put them in a better situation where they can be medevaced out, or they dying, as unfortunate as it seems. Because if you're not stable enough to make the flight, even if we need to get you out of the country, most times, well, not most times, a lot of times, you will be unable to leave the country because you're not stabilized enough to travel.
Blood carries a shelf life of 42 days, and use of its components is prohibited thereafter. That is why it is important for the lab to keep a sufficient stock on hand. Williams encourages younger persons to become blood donors, as it also doubles as an annual health screening.
The CDB President's Chat has seen numerous discussions over the latter part of last week, and in this newscast, they speak more on Caribbean development. Part 2 of the CDB President's Chat ended yesterday with President Hoyer from the EIB saying he believes they've established a wide selection of fertilized knowledge from their activities in the EU with its supported countries, including the Caribbean.
We have cooperated on sustainability bonds, and recently we discussed how to increase support to the private sector. There is enormous potential for guarantees and other risk-sharing instruments so that more private capital can be mobilized. As a matter of fact, when I talk to asset holders, to investors, then they are even actively searching for opportunities to invest in these fields. So I think the money is waiting on the streets to be picked up by us in order to catalyze it into productive investments.
Hoyer says that the EIB shares CDB's vision for transformation approach to investments in the region, which then subsequently only transformation will be the basis for the protection of the future of generations from the challenges ahead.
This year, EIB happens to chair the group of the multilateral development banks. And in this context, we hope to cooperate closely with CDB as well. Climate and environment is a key area of focus. Adaptation is in its multiple dimensions, and the related MDB's role in supporting a just transition are just some important issues ahead of COP27, which we presently prepare intensively, like I did today with the Egyptian minister. So as part of the MDB collective, we have been focusing on the development of a more coordinated support for the preparation and implementation of long-term, low greenhouse gas emissions, climate-informed development strategies at national, sectoral, and subnational levels. A joint long-term strategy facility would represent a great package for the MDBs at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Hoyer said that we see a growing relevance of nature and biodiversity for climate-related discussions, which are particularly important to leverage these synergies as MDBs have an important role to play. Mauricio Claver-Carone, president of the IDB, was also one of the speakers in the president's chat and was inquired on what the challenges are to MDBs in partnering with the private sector as they seek to deliver on development outcomes.
Since I am the first president of the IDB in 62 years that is a coastal president. All the presidents of the IDBs have been from inland in South America or Mexico. I'm from Miami, so I have a coastal feel. I'm as the closest to the Caribbean of any president in history of the IDB, and it was part of my agenda. It was part of my commitment when I ran to raise the profile of the Caribbean within the bank, and indeed we have done so, and I'm very proud of the work we have done. As a matter of fact, I'm really excited to that this year in 2022, our pipeline for the 6 countries that we serve in the Caribbean is going to reach a new record. We're actually tripling the most ever. It's going to be about 16 projects amounting to almost $1.2 billion in 2022, and that's a big deal. And so we are really focused on the Caribbean. We actually said this year is going to be the year of the Caribbean in this regards, and there's a lot of work to be done, and we're excited.
In regard to Caribbean development, Carone says that the most important partnership he has with any development bank or any regional development bank is with the Caribbean Development Bank.
It is my priority. And why? It's not because I like one better than the other, etc. It's because here's a reality. Only 6 of the countries of the Caribbean are members of the Inter-American Development Bank. There's about a dozen others that are not, but they are members of the Caribbean Development Bank, and we want to support them and we want to help them. So the way that we can help most of these Eastern Caribbean island nations that so much need our help and our support as well, but for whatever reason, through history and time, have not become members of the Inter-American Development Bank, which, by the way, I would love to increase that membership at some time, and they're welcome to, is by helping support, strengthen the Caribbean Development Bank and working through the Caribbean Development Bank. And that is something that Gene and I have spoken about since day one. We are fully aligned, and he has no better partner in his endeavor than us in the Inter-American Development Bank.
Touching back on the inquiry which was made to him, President Carone stated that since the day of his presidency, he stated that the recovery of Latin America and the Caribbean will be private sector led.
The scale of the challenges we've talked about, the financing gaps, are just too large for the public sector to tackle alone. As Gene said, these are $1 trillion problems, and we're billions of dollars institution. Although we're proud that we did a $23.4 billion in financing last year. I'm the first president to break the $20 billion gap. We've actually almost doubled it, and there's some news that you'll see, and you're probably already seeing, which the new normal. We're going to go from 12-17. I had Rand saying that 20 billion should be the new normal, and it's looking like 25 or 30 billion could be the new normal. But there's also opportunities here, and this is why this is so important, and the time is right for investments in our region. Green infrastructure, nearshoring, everything that we've talked about. The private sector will play an essential role in realizing that. Today, what we're doing at the IDB is really looking to unleash the private sector's development power to bring our additionality to these countries more than ever. And that's at the core of what we've presented and was unanimously approved by our governors now in our annual meeting in March as the new value proposition of the bank.
President Carone says he can't express how excited he is at this, but is indeed genuinely excited about the historical forms that were approved earlier this year. Stay tuned for more of this story in a subsequent newscast. Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back. Coming up next is your weather forecast.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at STUBBS Diamond Plaza Providenciales, Mides Plaza North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Here's your weather forecast for June 14th, 2022. For the nation's capital, Grand Turk, on Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high 84, low 79, winds east-southeast at 15 to 25 miles per hour. For South Caicos, mostly sunny skies, high 84, low 80, winds east-southeast at 15 to 25 miles per hour. For North and Middle Caicos, mostly sunny skies, high 85, low 79, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. For Parrot and Pine Key, mostly sunny skies, high 85, low 80, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And on Providenciales, mostly sunny skies, high 85, low 79, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Now for your sunrise and sunset. Sunrise 6:07 a.m., sunset 7:35 p.m. And for your high tides and low tides, high tides 8:57 a.m., 9:24 p.m., and low tide 2:58 a.m., 2:56 p.m. And for your hurricane outlook for the North Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico, disorganized showers and thunderstorms over the southwestern Caribbean Sea continue in association with a low pressure. Gradual development of this system is possible while it shifts northwestward near the coast of Nicaragua and Honduras and could become a tropical depression late this week if the disturbance remains over water. Regardless of development, this system could produce periods of heavy rainfall across portions of eastern Nicaragua and eastern Honduras late this week. And that's it for your weather forecast and hurricane outlook. We'll be right back for more News Watch.
Here at People's Television, we're more than just your leading news and entertainment services. We are
spreading the gospel.
We are breaking barriers.
We are preserving the culture. Each one, teach one.
We are committed to excellence.
We're creating change.
We are creating memories.
We are the future.
I am PTV.
I am PTV. I am PTV.
I am PTV.
We are PTV.
We are continuing the legacy. We are PTV.
Macmillan Education Caribbean has announced its first ever event for its upcoming Summer of Science. Here's more. The event will be a webinar hosted by Discover Science author Deborah Roberts and will be all about turning primary scientists into CSEC level scientists. Deborah Roberts has vast experience in education as both an educator herself and a teacher trainer, as well as in writing for the Caribbean. Working with advisors from across the Caribbean islands, she developed this series with a range of curriculums in mind, making the series highly adaptable for classrooms across the Caribbean. The Discover Science series acts as a smooth transition from primary science education to secondary education. This is compounded by its relationship to Deborah's previous science series, Mission Science. The webinar will be hosted twice on Wednesday, June 15th at 7 a.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Eastern to cater to a variety of schedules. This session will look at themes such as developing research as a key skill in young scientists, harnessing students' interest as a tool for deepening their scientific skill, and how educators can create independent, practical thinkers and scientists. The webinar sessions aim to create confident teachers who can deliver student-led science lessons across the Caribbean. The webinar will be touching on several features in the books, such as projects, real-world application, and the integration of STEAM learning as the world increasingly values skills rooted in technology. This webinar follows a fortnight of social media spotlighting the incredible Caribbean scientists shaping their fields and fun facts taken from the Discover Science series. When asked about the upcoming event, Deborah Roberts said, quote, "The transition from primary to secondary doesn't have to be a challenge, as the skills acquired through inquiry-based learning led to understanding content at a much deeper intellectual level. I am very much looking forward to delivering this webinar," end quote. This webinar, as we gathered, is just the first in Macmillan Education Caribbean's lineup for the Summer of Science campaign, running online from June 6 to September 12, spotlighting several of the titles in Macmillan Education Caribbean's extensive range of science series. The Summer of Science is a chance for both science educators and the Caribbean's budding young scientists to develop their skills and reignite their passion for this vital subject. This story has so much valid information that we thought we'd run it again, just in case you missed it. Monkeypox is a zoonosis caused by the monkeypox virus of the genus Orthopox virus, which belongs to the family Poxviridae. The infection is characterized by rash or skin lesions that are usually concentrated on the face, palms of the hands, and soles of the feet. The example for laboratory examination is taken from a person with symptoms of the skin lesion, and the result can take 1 to 3 days from the time the sample is received in the laboratory. The training seeks to strengthen the capacities of laboratories in Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, Peru, Uruguay, and Venezuela to detect cases of this disease, given the recent outbreak reported in several countries around the world that are not endemic for monkeypox, that is, countries in the circulation of the monkeypox virus had not been previously notified. From the training in Rio de Janeiro, we gather that participants received hands-on training in molecular detection of the virus that causes monkeypox and review detection and diagnosis in the context of preparedness and response to potential outbreaks. Detecting the virus is the first step in preventing spread, disrupting chains of transmission, and stopping an outbreak. Newswatch learns that between the 13th of May and the 8th of June this year, more than 1,000 cases of monkeypox have been reported to the WHO in 29 non-endemic countries, 4 of them in the region of the Americas, Argentina, Canada, the United States, and Mexico. To facilitate PCR testing, the Institute of Molecular Biology of Paraná in Brazil donated to the Pan American Health Organization regions for the diagnosis of monkeypox, which, in addition to others acquired by PAHO, which will reportedly be delivered to about 20 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. And that brings us to the end of this edition of The Real News. I hate to leave you so soon, but of course, you can join us right back here every weekday at 6:30 p.m. and tap into our social media platforms at www.ptv8tci.com. I'm Erica Pinales, keeping you informed, updated, and affiliated. Until next time.